The following program is being brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check our additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the following program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management. Welcome. You've entered the realm of 1111 Talk Radio. Your host is Simran Singh. It's time to discover your own language with the universe. Learn to empower yourself, broaden your mind, open your heart, and discover who you are. Now, here's your host, Simran Singh.
Welcome to 1111 Talk Radio. Our inspiration, our creativity is always divinely inspired. It pours through us and expresses through us in many different ways. And the key is to learn how to combine and intertwine that spirituality and that humanness. Visionary art that speaks to the soul and reflects the majesty of being alive is what Mykal Aubry is all about. He discovers the power of being human. It's what inspires him to paint, and he is deeply passionate about integrating all aspects that have been hidden from himself and been judged as unworthy so that he may live in self-love in this body and on this earth. I would like to welcome Mykal Aubry to 1111 Talk Radio. I'm so excited to have you on.
Oh, thank you very much, Simran. I'm very grateful and honored to be on.
Well, I'm one of your big fans because when I look at your work, it really just, I feel it. It inspires me. It is otherworldly as well as this world. It's very etheric, and to get to a place where you can paint like this and where you can sense like this and you can channel through like this, you must have had quite a journey to get to this point.
Yes, absolutely.
What would bring an individual to be able to be so inspired to create the types of works that literally inspire so many of the senses?
Well, for me, it was really what inspired me to bring forth this work now is getting in touch with all the aspects of myself, and specifically the parts that I was using as separation and the different aspects that I was judging as being unworthy that really fueled me into knowing and feeling in my body who and where I really am, and to then be inspired to put that onto canvas, and just as a reflection, a very clear, a very direct reflection of what I am in the feelings and that just divine, really, ecstasy that has been coming forth.
Now, you regard each of your paintings as a prayer. It's been written, it's a prayer, a portal, a transmission, a temple for the viewer to enter into and receive whatever aspects of them that they desire. But we very much are viewing your temple as we see this work. And when you have to get ready and prepare to do this sort of painting, do you have a sort of process? Do you have to go into meditation? Is it something that just comes naturally?
It's actually very different for each painting. Whatever I'm basically called to do in preparation for each individual painting is, what I do. Sometimes it is meditation. A lot of times it's just visioning and just really going within and pretty much painting it in my mind's eye and feeling all the different vibrations that are to come through and how it formulates. But also, a lot of the times, even when I do that, when I'll begin a painting, sometimes I won't even know exactly what the formation will be until I actually start putting the pencil to the canvas and just pretty much watch it unfold. A lot of it is this intuitive energy coming through and symbols that I don't even necessarily have a recognition for a meaning in the moment. That sometimes will not come until later, and sometimes it won't come at all, actually. It's just really, for me, the most important thing is the feeling and the vibration of what I'm experiencing and doing my absolute best to represent that energy and that vibration on canvases in the most direct way possible.
Now, have you always been an artist? Did you grow up drawing, painting? Have you always had this talent?
Yes, I've always grew up drawing. I remember when I was young, I drew a lot of animals, and owls for a big phase of my childhood was my favorite thing to draw.
The images that come through this, like I said, they're very otherworldly, very universal when you see them. And to have that sort of perspective to be able to paint, you must have had a pretty open background when it comes to spirituality.
Yes, I have. It developed when I was pretty young and just opening up to myself and starting to have reflections of myself that reminded me of what I really am and the fact that I can create my world, and I do create my world and always have. And just opening up to myself, getting in touch with feelings, emotions, and just that journey has opened me up into a multidimensionality. And that those different multidimensionality is really what brought through kind of the otherworldliness that is right here in my body, all the time. And it's always right here with us. It's just having different access points, different doorways through the specific situations and circumstances of our lives that are always there, like this core gift that is always waiting for us to receive it and recognize it, which opens us up to, I feel, these otherworldly, other-dimensional realms that are very much who we really are.
And like you're saying, it's so much a part of us, yet we tend to see that as separate. We're so used to seeing our humanness and seeing it just where we are that we don't necessarily step into the fact that we are one with it and it is one with us, and it's really this intermingling and this dance that has to occur. And one of your pieces is called Surrender. It's that, so to speak, that has to occur so that we know that completeness.
Yes, absolutely. It is completely surrendering who and what we think we are, who and what we've been told we are or should be, letting all that go into the unknown of ourselves, and that's where we truly find ourselves, and then open up to all these other realms that we didn't even know existed previously.
And a lot of that has to come from a truth or a very much of a transparency with oneself, and you're very open about how you want to truly go to the depths of your being and recognize both the depths and the heights, and how you were willing to go to those places of pain. Talk a little bit about what that separateness felt like and how you worked through that. How did you get to this place where you were creating things like the Light 7 series?
Well, specifically the Light 7 series, I created pretty much a cave with myself. I really went inside this really solitary place to create them, and the feeling of that, things that were invoked, that were triggered, of my beliefs in separation that I was holding within myself, the separation between being human and being a spiritual being, as if they're two separate things, and the judgment specifically of being physical, and that it's a lowly type of existence that needs to be improved upon and needs to be improved and heightened to this ascension type of a state. The pain and the excruciating agony, honestly, that I felt during that period of doing those paintings, and specifically when I was working on the root chakra, that really sent me into the place of knowing and feeling the truth, the core of my inherent birthright and my worthiness. Feeling into all those different layers, to get to that place. It was very treacherous to, navigate through, and absolutely fulfilling to feel into, and to move into, and to embrace.
And this pain, is it something that you became conscious of? Is it something that you physically felt? Or, and the reason I'm asking this question is because there's so many people that kind of walk around and feel like, well, life is a part of pain, and my life's okay, but they don't really want to recognize where the areas are that they may want to go to evolve. And so to get to that place and understand what the pain is and where it came from, were you conscious? Did you feel it?
absolutely felt the pain. Yes, different circumstances, different situations that triggered the pain that I had believed were telling me of my worth. And it was specifically through feeling it that I got to know myself. It's like, we're all feeling beings. And, for the most part, I feel like there is a comfortability with our pain, with the limiting beliefs that we hold about ourselves. And, like you said, like, oh, we're all right. It's, things are going well. And there's so much more. The thing is, I feel like we've been told in certain ways that the pain is actually telling us the truth of who and what we really are, when the pain is saying this is not who and what we really are, which is why the pain is there. So the pain and the fear really is our friend. And when we can really have that type of relationship with it in an intimate way, then it becomes a completely different experience. And it's now more of this separation between, okay, well, if I'm feeling pain, that's my humanness. I don't feel that being human is not an inherent handicap. It's not any less than, like if we would leave our humanness to its own devices, it would just destroy itself. Thank God for the spirituality. The spirituality is the humanity in itself. In its most glorified form, I feel. Like the soul's greatest accomplishment is physicality, is this human experience. And it's completely, deeply worthy. We are infinitely precious beyond anything we can imagine.
Oh, absolutely. And we do tend to judge our humanness. We tend to look in the mirror and we tend to say things, or we tend to believe that we're not worthy in many areas. And that was one of the core issues that you spoke of, is that unworthiness. And what I really liked about what you said was that we have to recognize that pain is the gift. It is our friend. It is so necessary to embrace that. And that is what you do through your work. You really continually try to evolve deeper and deeper. And that is why the work becomes more and more spirit-filled and heart-filled, from what I see, as I see you do different pieces.
It's really, for me, about really going into the origins of who we are that is expressing itself in every moment, and really feeling into that original yes, to even be human, to even be here on this planet. That yes, it is constantly, in every moment, reverberating and voicing itself for us to be here, and feeling that, coming into an alignment with that complete, full yes to be here. Yes, I'm here. Yes, I am worthy to be here. And my proof, my existence is proof of my worthiness.
Most definitely. I'm here with Mykal Aubry, and he is excited about the power of being human and discovering the spirituality of his humanness. That is what inspires him to paint. He is deeply passionate about integrating all aspects that have been hidden from himself and just as unworthy. We will be right back to speak a little bit more with Mykal Aubry.
Your online community for positive change. Seventh Wave Network.
We all want peace. We all desire a more meaningful life. We work hard to achieve these things, but at what avail? The key is authentic living with Andrea Matthews. Andrea will interview some of the great spiritual experts of today and will provide wisdom to help you raise your consciousness to the level of your own I am. Your authenticity can give you miraculous gifts, but you have to know how to get there. Listen for Authentic Living with Andrea Matthews. Heard live every Wednesday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, 1 p.m. Pacific Time on the Seventh Wave Network.
Have you seen 1111? Do you wonder why certain numbers keep showing up in your life? 11, 111, 22, 33, 444. People all over the world are seeing 1111 and learning the language of universal communication. Subscribe to 1111 Magazine today. www.1111mag.com. 1111 Magazine is a bi-monthly print publication that offers a rich multi-sensory experience. As you engage with experts and topics of consciousness, become enlightened, empowered, and energized so you live a passionate and authentic life of conscious choices. 1111 Magazine, a daily staple for lifting the mindset, discovering the heart, and stepping into conscious living. 1111 Magazine. Order now at www.1111mag.com. 1111mag.com.
Mom? Dad? How long should I wait for you? Mom?
If I'm at soccer practice.
What if something happens? Will you come get me?
There's no reason not to have a plan in case of a terrorist attack.
Mom, if you're not home, should we go to the neighbor's house?
And some extremely good reasons why you should.
Can you tell me?
Everybody should have a plan. Take 5 minutes to talk about where you'll meet and how you'll get in touch with each other in an emergency. For other things you can do to be prepared, visit www.ready.gov. A public service announcement brought to you by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the Ad Council.
The new home for visionary positive change. Seventh Wave Network.
You are listening to 1111 Talk Radio. If you'd like to join today's discussion, please call in toll-free at 1-866-472-5795. Again, 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to info@believesc.com. Now back to 1111 Talk Radio with Simran Singh.
Artist Mykal Aubry uses acrylic paint, but what comes out of it is extremely inviting, sensory and inspiring, far more than just paint on a canvas. The exchange is an attunement of energies, a communing, using images of the human form, but also adding patterns of light, organic ethereal matter, star formations, and important symbols that are present in the anchor as it anchors and creates focal points of highly concentrated gateways of crystalline energy. Mykal, the pieces that you make, one of the series that I'm very familiar with is the Light 7 series. And I'd like to go into that because you talked about the root chakra and you doing some of your work. And the chakra system, the energy system, is so important for so many of us to understand and continue to do that work because it relates to our experiences of life. Will you go through a little bit about the Light 7 series and what was the inspiration behind that and what it's about?
The Light 7 series is a representation of each one of the energy centers. That most of them being 7 that we're mostly associated with. And the inspiration was really to get in touch with each one of the centers as it relates to our birthright, which each one represents a different birthright of our human existence. So that it absolutely supports us here being physical, even though they're in the subtle body. I represent each painting as a human form. And so they are portraits showing a face, personifying basically each one of the energy centers. And so each one had a different message coming through. It has a different energy coming through the eyes, pertaining specifically to that particular energy vibration that it's representing.
And each of the portraits, you use the color that the particular chakra vibrates at, the symbol you have placed at the third eye point on each of the paintings, and most definitely the eyes are very, very intriguing and intense in each of them.
Yes, the eyes were actually a very powerful part of the painting for me. All of it really was, but to really convey through energy, through the eye, which is what obviously we use to see ourselves and to see our world, I thought was a very powerful way, gateway into the soul, absolutely.
And as you were doing this set of 7 chakra series, the Light 7 series, each chakra vibrates to a certain issue, and for our listeners, the root chakra has to do with trust, and the sacral chakra has to do with relationships and creativity, and the solar plexus has to do with power and will, and so on and so forth. Were you finding that you were facing those areas in your life or trying to clear issues in those particular areas when you were on that particular painting?
Yes, absolutely. Specifically with the root chakra, as I had mentioned, I was experiencing a very deep pain based on my beliefs of the fact that being human was unworthy, so I believed. And so along with that, my core root physical needs were also not being met, like experiencing severe financial deprivation. And all throughout when I was doing the series, also didn't have a car, so that was really also reflected that sense of not being mobile and just that the birthright just to pretty much move around. And that, so all these different aspects pertain to each painting, and I really became the experience of each energy center and all of the beliefs that I was holding around the core birthright and experiencing the various pain and at the same time an immense amount of joy and ecstasy as well, when I would move through. And it was really such a dance of between both vibrations, between both experiences, and the deep intrinsic joy that I was feeling really fueled me to do each one of the paintings.
And that's just it. We can have both. I mean, there can be the experience of both. I think, part of our humanness is we think there is going to be this or that, or we just want one side of it, but we don't realize that it's okay to have both things in the experience and be able to work through parts and experience the bliss and go back into the sadness and go back into the joy and understand how to dance.
Absolutely. It is the art of dancing, with ourselves and our relationships and all the different beliefs that we hold about ourselves, and completely moving about in and out and just being okay with that experience.
And as you moved through each of the chakras and you completed those paintings, did you experience shifts in your life? Because you would have definitely cleared things in the internal landscape. So did your exterior manifestations change?
Yes, absolutely, they did. Several months, I would say, or a few months after I completed the series, things did begin to open up for me, specifically financially, and actually started making more money than I ever had at that point. And so, to experience that and, to move through my feelings of unworthiness, specifically about money, and not having my finances and how much money I had in the bank to be dependent on my worth, was an ecstatic experience. Through financial freedom.
Sure, and for something like for someone like an artist or a musician or a writer, so often we will lock ourselves into careers that are practical, yet our heart yearns for something else. And the fear is to move into that because of financial responsibility or even expectations of what other people think, or most of all, the worthiness factor as to whether we think we can have what we really, really want. And so how did you move through the fears of going from the more practical side of life to saying, this is something I have to do, I need to do for me?
It was really, honestly, on some level, it didn't even feel like a choice. The amount of passion that I was feeling to do the paintings and to create them, to express the energy that I felt in my body that was desiring to come through, and that was going to come through no matter what. That's what continued me to paint no matter what my circumstances were. And so I didn't rely on whether I had the money or not, or even food in my stomach to actually get up and paint. It wasn't really so much about that. And at the same time, not having certain things in my reality absolutely fueled me into the painting at the same as well.
Well, and it's so evident when I look at your painting Intrinsic or even Earthshine, you see this white, ethereal energy that goes through it, this electric energy that is moving. Even though the painting is sitting still in front of you, it looks and appears as if everything is moving.
Yeah, that is really, for me, it's all about getting to the heart of the matter. In the paintings, it's the light and the dark, and the union of those two energies. And I feel like within that, conveying that energy, what comes through is a lot of movement, and is certainly a lot of different dimensions that can be perceived and that one can actually experience, while they're in front of the paintings, experience, in their bodies and, vibrationally. Receive, whatever their being is calling forth mostly at that moment.
In the place that you are now, after having completed the Light 7 series, and you also have done another painting called Off the Mat Into the World, which was, actually it was called Impact for the Off the Mat Into the World Manduka Yoga activism launch that Sean Korn had. There, I'm sure, have been very, very many changes. So now, as opposed to who you were, do you still experience the pain and the bliss? Do you still go to those extreme depths and heights? Are you still dancing?
Absolutely, and actually even more deeper than ever. Actually, I'm actually working on a second series of chakra portraits, and so with this, I'm finding and experiencing similar experiences that I was experiencing in the first series. So, but it's going to a much deeper level. You know, we're all infinite, and there's really no end to who we are. And so, with my own personal exploration, you know, and moving through the chakra system and what that means to me, it is absolutely sending me to those depths of pain, heights of joy, and it's different, yet there's very much similar experiences.
Well, and I like what you're saying, because so often we don't realize that as we go through our journey and we're experiencing the valleys and the mountains, that we have to go through the layers of the onion. We're going to experience sadness many, many times. It's just going to be different degrees. And it seems as if through your creative expression, because that's an extension of you, that also acts like your layers of the onion, to which you're going to dive deeper and deeper into.
Yes, absolutely. And I feel like it really comes down to the state of being. And, you know, our state of being is what creates matter, creates our circumstances and situations. And when our circumstances and situations don't dictate how we feel about ourselves, you know, then it really doesn't matter what we're experiencing in a certain way. It's, you know, and there even may be pain and situations that we would say we didn't want, and experiencing deep disappointment in that. And when that becomes okay, because we know we're always found and we're always home and we've never left, that home space that is infinite and eternal and ecstatic, I feel like there's an allowance and an ease, even with the pain, even with certain resistances. We just be with those different parts of ourselves. It's like they're really just asking for recognition, asking to be loved by the love that we are, in that unconditional space, and the freedom of expression of all the different aspects, and specifically in this reality, the wide spectrum of experiences that is possible here, and how beautiful and amazing that is. And I feel like the more we actually integrate whatever's going on in whatever moment, we automatically open up to even more possibilities.
Well, and it's interesting, because everything that we create, it really does hold our DNA. It does hold our essence, because it literally is an extension or a string from us. And so we have to believe in it, first of all, so it does manifest and really touch others in a certain way. I know creating 1111 magazine, I had to do it for me first. It had to be something that sparked me and touched me and was beautiful to me. And it seems as if for you to do your work and your paintings, it has to be something that really sparks and touches you in such a deep, deep way. I am here with Mykal Aubry. His website is www.mykalaubry.com, and that is MYKALAUBRY, www.mykalaubry.com. He is also doing a chakra meditation series called The Origins, Empowerment Through the Chakras, and we'll talk a little bit more about that after this break.
Be extraordinary. Seventh Wave Network.
Have you seen 1111? Do you wonder why certain numbers keep showing up in your life? 11, 111, 22, 33, 444. People all over the world are seeing 1111 and learning the language of universal communication. Subscribe to 1111 Magazine today. www.1111mag.com. 1111 Magazine is a bi-monthly print publication that offers a rich, multi-sensory experience. As you engage with experts and topics of consciousness, become enlightened, empowered, and energized, so you live a passionate and authentic life of conscious choices. 1111 Magazine, a daily staple for lifting the mindset, discovering the heart, and stepping into conscious living. 1111 Magazine. Order now at www.1111mag.com. 1111mag.com.
Are you looking for life's balance? Look no further than Seventh Wave Network. We're bringing you Life's Balance with Shaman M. Let Melody McBride take you on a unique listening experience. You'll explore the world of alternative health. Learn about the many facets of healing. Preventative lifestyles from children to seniors will be discussed on the show. Listen for Life's Balance with Shaman M. Broadcast live every Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific Time and 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Seventh Wave Network. It's the healthy side of life. Let peace and balance be yours.
The results indicate your child has neuroblastoma. There's evidence of metastasis. We need to schedule a bone marrow to perform a surgical biopsy. MIBG scan. After you hear your child has cancer, chances are you don't hear anything else. CureSearch.org connects you to the most comprehensive research and advice on childhood cancer, and to other families who know exactly what you're going through. CureSearch.org. You're not as alone as you feel. Brought to you by CureSearch and the Ad Council.
Listening on a higher dimension. Seventh Wave Network.
You are listening to 1111 Talk Radio. If you'd like to join today's discussion, please call in toll-free at 1-866-472-5795. Again, 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to info@believesc.com. Now back to 1111 Talk Radio with Simran Singh.
Fascinated by and deeply reverent of the electric, magnetic, and etheric energies of the human body, its psyche, and overall consciousness of both physical and non-physical reality, Mykal Aubry, a celebrated artist, has done some amazing work that obviously is not only channeled through him but expresses through him. And he has some very interesting titles, such as 444, which I'd like to get into, especially since I'm such a numbers person with the 1111. I know that for me, a lot of the numbers have to do with connection to the non-physical and to light beings, and to allow that communication to come through. Is this channeled through you? Do you have a sense of the light beings that are supporting you? Tell me a little bit about that.
Yes, absolutely. Each being, basically, that is representing each chakra is a separate entity for myself, coming from other dimensions and other star systems as well. When I first before I actually started doing the series, I did a small painting of a woman's face, and as I was doing that painting, I felt very strongly, and it was a very new sensation for me, that there was another entity guiding me and directing me in the painting. And so that continued to evolve as I moved into the Light 7 series. And in the beginning, I didn't necessarily even realize what was happening. And as it unfolded, I got more clear about the communication that was actually happening between me and each of the beings that is represented in the series. Specifically, like the names all came to me in thought as I was doing each one of the paintings. And I would get a really strong chill sensation throughout my body as a confirmation that that particular name that I was hearing in thought was actually the name of the being. And so there was a lot of amazing, wonderful, beyond words experiences that I was having between myself and these beings. So I recognize they're simply coming through and sharing and expressing their vibration through these paintings for the purpose of really supporting us and supporting the earth in the direction that we've chosen to go, and integrating who and what we really are, and actually feeling it in our bodies and on this earth.
And those are very mystical experiences, and I think part of what happens is people have an openness to that that they don't realize, but they don't trust them. They don't trust the tingling sensation on the body. They don't trust the thought that drops into the head, or the message that shows up as a number, or different ways that the universe tries to communicate with us. What allowed you to develop that trust that this is not just something that I'm making up, this is something that's actually happened, and there is a communication that's going on?
For me, it was the feeling that I experienced in the circumstances. And as I was getting certain sensations, that's what really supported me in trusting. And trust is such an important, essential thing to have, and to be with ourselves, and all of our feelings and all the different, sensations that we feel in our body, and to really listen to them. There's such an intelligence within our beings that is always communicating to us in a myriad of different ways, and to really validate the experience, like, for instance, this experience of each one of the chakras, and how that relates and how it translates in the body, and just taking time just to be still, to breathe deeply, and to feel our bodies, and be curious about these forms that we've created, and the energies and the life force that they are infused with.
And part of getting some of those messages and connecting to the light beings, did that happen after you had gotten into a painting and you were really you were one with the painting, and you were just, time was no object, and food was non-existent, you were so into what you were doing that those messages started to come? Is that the place that it happened, or did it happen at the end?
It actually happened before, during, and at the end. Well,
okay.
Yeah, it was, before I would do each painting, I would just tune in to the entity, the energy that was to come through. And also I want to say, too, that as I could say that these entities were channeled through me, really they're all aspects of myself, and really I was simply channeling myself, which we all do all the time in various circumstances. So it's just really allowing that energy to come through. But yes, there was a lot of different exchanges between myself and these beings throughout each of the paintings, and they informed me specifically, of their features, the size of the lips and the size of the eyes, and where to place certain things. It was all very much an exchange between myself and them, which is what created how they looked.
Most definitely. And you said the word tune in, and I would like to add to that also tune up, because I find, particularly being a writer, that where my inspiration comes from, my messages come from, is it's almost as if we have to tune up our vibrations to get to a place to hear it, because these light beings and inspiration and all of the love, it's all very high vibrational frequency. So we have to get ourselves into that place. We have to allow ourselves to feel good enough to explore our creativity and explore where we want to go, and say it's okay to feel that good.
Yes, absolutely. And it's completely about saying yes to what feels good. And I feel like the beginning point, the starting point, is every moment. Whatever is going on, whatever we're feeling, however much money we have or do not have in the bank or in our wallets, that is the doorway. And when we can really be with that, relate to that in a loving, compassionate, aware way, I feel like that's when automatically things begin to open up. And there's within compassion, within love, there is intrinsically this deep trust and knowing of who we are intrinsically. And so then that automatically opens up into more trust, and then also being able to receive and to be able to hear more. But I feel like it all really begins right here, right now, as we are.
And that's how we continually vibe ourselves up. We continue to tune into where we're at, what we're feeling. We keep on going with it. We tune up, we vibe up, and that essence of love, that's the word. That's the word you've continually used through the conversation, is to really love what's going on, whether it's the sadness or whether it's the pain or whether it's the bliss or whether it's the painting or whether it's the communication or the stillness, to love where you're at.
Yes. And that's the doorway to more of who we are.
And that's where we all want to go, is to more of who we are, isn't it?
Absolutely.
So what else is on the horizon with this new set of chakras and what your explorations are? Are you discovering more parts of yourself? Are you gaining a greater connection to the light beings?
Yes, I am, and the specific representation of the chakras this time is completely different. It's geometric in nature, so it's a different interface. And at the same time, I feel like for me right now, it's pretty much letting go necessarily of the different aspects in a large degree in terms of the paintings themselves and other beings, and really feeling into just simply who I am and all of my internal sort of personalities, and having that come through in and really feeling on a much deeper level, going to pretty much, a lot of times really the edge of what I would say my existence, and seeing how that feels. And the experience has honestly been beyond words, and I really even couldn't even fully express to you other than in a painting, I feel. But the experience was completely fulfilling, and everything I asked for, honestly.
Unless a person goes to the website and really sees, they wouldn't realize that you are very young. You are very young and very wise, because to have the philosophies and the view of the world and of the universe that you do, for a lot of people, it takes them years, decades to get there, if ever. And what do you attribute that to? Because it was very refreshing to hear someone so grounded and so centered from acceptance, love, and surrender. Because that's really what you're about. You're about accepting who you are, how you are, and loving that place.
I feel like there's honestly this energy within me that desires to express, certain ideas and certain what I would call realities, and that's really what they are for me. And I really have, that's been my choice for this lifetime, and my certainly exploration, and that's my devotion, honestly, to myself and to this earth, and so honestly, whoever I come in contact with, that's what it's about, really getting into the heart of the matter and feeling into it, and have the fun and the excitement of this life. That we are in bodies and we can move around and feel ourselves and feel each other and come in contact with other physical things, and in the feel the liquidity of our essence coming through at the same time. It's absolutely magnificent, and we are complete geniuses in this creation that we've created, and I'm deeply honored to be in this experience and just really embracing all of it and the existence before any purpose, before really any desire, just the inherent existence of life.
Wow, and if everyone had that viewpoint, this world would be a completely different place. What I really liked about what you said was you were deeply devoted to yourself, the earth, and other people. And what I found powerful about that was you put yourself first. Because I don't think people realize is it has to be about them first. I think so many individuals are so busy looking in and driving other people's cars that they forget to drive their own. And we have to go inside. We have to discover who we are. We have to express who we are. And when you're busy with yourself, you can't get caught up in all of the chaos and craziness that seems to be going on around you. And then all of a sudden it does come from just that place of expression and love.
Yes, absolutely. We are our own beloved. Completely, 100%, whole and
We are our own beloved. The relationship of matter and ether as one whole infinite system is what Mykal Aubry paints about, talks about, and expresses as. Mykal Aubry's website is www.mykalaubry.com. That is MYKALAUBRY, MYKALAUBRY. Definitely take a look at his website and see some of these amazing paintings, and we will be right back in just a few minutes.
Experience higher love, an archangelic journey into ascended joy and authentic living.
Your hosts, Sri Ram Ka and Kira Ra, will assist you to open your heart, expand your love, and be ever present with true joy. Your journey with Sri and Kira begins right here on the Seventh Wave Network with Higher Love, Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Just what is Skills USA?
Skills USA specifically prepares you for the workforce.
Skills USA empowers students to connect with a network of people. Skills USA allows students to connect with business and industry, to manage their education, and to really get a feel of the real world.
Skills USA, champions at work.
Find out more on the web at skillsusa.org.
Have you seen 1111? Do you wonder why certain numbers keep showing up in your life? 11, 111, 22, 33, 444? People all over the world are seeing 1111 and learning the language of universal communication. Subscribe to 1111 Magazine today. www.1111mag.com. 1111 Magazine is a bi-monthly print publication that offers a rich, multi-sensory experience. As you engage with experts and topics of consciousness, become enlightened, empowered, and energized, so you live a passionate and authentic life of conscious choices. 1111 Magazine, a daily staple for lifting the mindset, discovering the heart, and stepping into conscious living. 1111 Magazine. Order now at www.1111mag.com. 1111mag.com.
Listening on a higher dimension. Seventh Wave Network.
You are listening to 1111 Talk Radio. If you'd like to join today's discussion, please call in toll-free at 1-866-472-5795. Again, 1-866-472-5795. You may also send an email to info@believesc.com. Now back to 1111 Talk Radio with Simran Singh.
It is poetry, a prayer, wisdom beyond common sense or knowledge. It is the essence of Mykal Aubry, www.mykalAubry.com. He's devoted to himself, the earth, and others, but recognizes the importance of really diving into his creative expression to know himself as deeply as possible. I'd like to talk a little bit more about that, Mykal, because I do think that's a strong point that people need to really hear a few times to allow integration.
Yes, I feel it really is. We are our world, we are our universe, and it really all begins with us. And so for us to be really in alignment with our needs, to speak them, express them, because they're worthy, because we are worthy of being recognized by ourselves, and to receive our own love. And it really is our own responsibility to express exactly what we came here to express, and to really be in that passion. And it's really up to no one else. I feel when we are in that immaculate self-love, so to speak, it automatically emanates out into the world, so we don't necessarily even have to think about what am I going to do for another. It becomes simply an extension, naturally, organically, of how we are already being with ourselves in that loving, compassionate space.
Well, that's just it. The physical diseases that are manifesting out there are really bigger manifestations of what initially starts. So if we're experiencing loneliness, it's because we're lonely with ourselves. If we're experiencing boredom, it's because we're bored with ourselves. Frustration, we're frustrated at ourselves. Or if we're in fear, it's really the fear of being who we really are. And so the first place to turn back to really is the self, and to understand that that's what we need to give the self that is calling from within.
Yes, absolutely. And it's so essential, I feel, to listen to that call within. Really going within and really taking the time to tend to and nurture that need to really take care of ourselves in our energy bodies and our physical bodies, and just to have space, whatever space we feel, to really drop into that and listen and act in accordance with what we hear and the messages that we get. I feel like a lot of times we actually are afraid to act on what we hear because we are resistant to actually really taking in the power of who and what we really are and actually living it.
To get more connected to that place, I know for me meditation's a big part of my life, and for you it is as well. You've mentioned that many times you'll go into stillness before starting some of your work. You have started a chakra meditation called Origins, Empowerment Through the Chakras process. So what is that? And that's a good way to start to go within first?
Yes, absolutely. It really all began from the Light 7 series. That's how it was developed. And what the journey is starting at the crown chakra, which is at the tip of the head, and moving through the whole column of the chakra system down to the root. So it's really focusing on the downward current of energy flow to really assist and support our essence being embodied in our physical forms, and to really feel that in ourselves, and also to have an intimate relationship with each of the energy centers. I feel like a lot of times they're kind of just relegated to some subtle realm, astral realm that's just kind of out there, and to really focus our attention, breath, and awareness on them, they love that. And so they really respond with an actual feeling or with certain images that pertains to each one of them. So to take that time to really go in, and so the origins, I feel that each energy center represents an origin of our being and a birthright of whom what we really are. So it's getting into that core, infinite energy of ourselves that's always emanating, and to have an intimate relationship with it.
And I find that the meditation and breath process is so important because a lot of people will mistake that and think that's an act of doing, and they don't recognize that we are literally a vehicle. We are just like a car, and we need to have that lubricant of air funneling through us to help us keep moving, and we need to have that focus on the chakras so that those engines within us can keep churning, and that's what makes life feel more balanced, is to really know that we've got some level of control and power and surrender all at the same time with what's moving through us.
Absolutely. If we are always at choice no matter what, and we are always completely empowered no matter what is happening. Even the ideas of like weakness, our greatest weakness is our greatest power. And to have that type of relationship with those feelings of deep, far-reaching separation is the most powerful place to be in, because it's so activating and catapults us into actually feeling who and what we really are. So there really is, I feel, no such thing as even weakness. We are completely all-empowered, sovereign beings that have chosen to be here and are completely at choice in every moment while we are here on this earth.
We just choose to believe otherwise.
Absolutely, and that's the beauty of it as well, because we have the freedom to choose how we see ourselves, how we feel about ourselves in all the different aspects. And I feel like, again, that's the power. I can really take that in, that we are completely at choice with our feelings or circumstances. And the thing is, it's all okay. We are completely safe in who we are at the same time. And there really is no danger of who and what we really are.
And the lightning bolt really is that any moment can be the moment. Any moment can be the moment of enlightenment. Any moment can be the moment of joy and bliss. Any moment can be the time where we decide to love ourselves enough.
Absolutely. And we can always begin again in every moment, no matter what has happened.
Because we're given this endless do-over list. We can constantly do it over, and it's okay. As you were painting through these series and also connecting more with meditations through the chakras and has come up with all of this, have you gained a greater knowing as to how you create your reality? I know you came from that philosophy, but has there been a deeper knowing about it since then?
There's absolutely, I would say, a deeper knowing, and at the same time letting go of how my previous kind of awareness of it at the same time. It was really coming into a place, specifically when I was doing the Light 7 series, of when things weren't manifesting the way they had so easily manifested in the past, in like my earlier years, and it was like, well, what's going wrong? That's another typical kind of voice that we hear in ourselves when things don't happen the way we want them to. There's always like, well, what went wrong? What did I do wrong?
Right.
And it's such an intrinsic, so we immediately go to that. And it's completely not about that at all, but it's so interesting. It's that deep-seated feeling and belief about ourselves that we hold.
And it's okay to achieve success and go right back into that place of, gosh, am I worthy of having this now? It's all right to have that little back and forth dance. It's actually natural to go into that so that we can step more fully into having more, wouldn't you think?
Absolutely, and when we can, I feel, really let go of, certain statuses and certain accomplishments and not hold on to them, because we want to keep having that feeling, keep having that sensation in this amazing life, and then we completely open up to continuing even more of who we are. But it is such an ever-changing experience that, every single day there's so many different experiences that we have, and from ultimate pain to ultimate joy. And it's just really riding those waves and those currents and allowing the natural flow from one to the other, from one relationship to another, from one circumstance to the next.
Most definitely, and I find so often when people are trying to hold on to their success or hold on to the idea that I'm going to make it, they don't realize that they're affirming their lack in that moment. Rather than affirming what they have and having gratitude for it, they're waiting for that thing that hasn't come yet, and it's just staying ever distant.
Right. Exactly. It's like we push it away with that kind of idea, with that energy.
Well, I want to thank you, Mykal, for being on 1111 Talk Radio. As usual, I think you are just a wonderful bit of inspiration for the world and very wisdom-filled. So thank you for being with us today.
Thank you so much, Simran. That's big.
And next week we have Esther Nicholson with the CD Children Under the Sun, and we're going to explore her journey and a lot of what she's done. She's featured in the March-April issue of 1111 magazine, which you can also subscribe to at www.1111mag.com. I look forward to talking to you next week.
Thank you for stepping into the doorway of conscious choice with 1111 Talk Radio. Please join host Simran Singh again next Thursday at 4 p.m. Pacific Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for another enlightening edition here on the Seventh Wave Network. Remember, shift happens. Thanks again for listening to the preceding program, brought to you on the Seventh Wave Network. For more information about our network and to check out additional show hosts and topics of interest, please visit seventhwavenetwork.com. The Voice America Talk Radio Network is the worldwide leader in live Internet talk radio. Visit voiceamerica.com. The views and ideas expressed on the preceding program are strictly those of the host or guests and do not necessarily reflect the views and ideas held by the Voice America Talk Radio Network, its staff, and management.